This is study session 6 of NSA 303. The topic of this study session is community diagnosis or need assessment. Community diagnosis is an essential basic tool and one of the major instruments used in community healthcare. It helps to find out the needs of the community. These needs can be felt needs, that is, those identified by the community, and perceived needs. Those are the ones identified by the health team. The type of information sought during community diagnosis includes information about population, birth, death, age group, leaders, and so on and so forth. These information help to form a solid basis for making plans to make specific and identified needs. On completion of this study session, we should be able to define community diagnosis, needs assessment, and situation analysis. We should be able to list the objectives, roles, and uses of community diagnosis in community health. We should be able to describe the steps in situation analysis. Now, community diagnosis. Community diagnosis is an organized process of identifying accurately the nature and relative size of health problem of the community. It is a systematic examination of the health status indicators for a given population that is used to identify key problems in a community. Community diagnosis identify needs, identify resources, constraints, and problems. It identifies physical, social, and cultural characteristics of the community. It identifies diseases pattern and identifies demographic characteristics of the community. Now, what is need assessment? Need assessment is the process of identifying community wants, strengths, weaknesses, and constraints which may have impact on the health of the community. There are three major types of needs in the community. The first one is the felt needs. This implies what people feel are their greatest or biggest problems. The second one is observed or perceived needs. These are needs or problems that are constrained or identified by the health workers as those that can have negative impact on the community. And the third one is expressed needs. Expressed needs are the needs or problems and constraints on which health workers and or community have taken some measures of action which may or may not have adequately addressed the health issue. Now, what is situation analysis? Situation analysis is a comprehensive review and assessment of the community in order to determine or come into conclusion about the situation of the community, which may have direct or indirect impact on the health of the people. Now, objective of community diagnosis. The objectives include to determine what information needed to assess the community. The second one is to select and use appropriate tools to collect information or use available data. The third one is to plan and coordinate activities with other members of the team. And the last objective is to evaluate data and determine health needs priority of the community. Now, uses of community diagnosis in community healthcare. The uses include to provide for decision on whether to plan strategy for a program, the type of intervention, and on what target group it will be applied. It provides basis for determining what resources will be needed for an intervention program. It provides baseline for future measurement of changes in community health problems. It gives a descriptive community diagnosis that can be used to show occurrence or distribution of selected disease or health indicator. It is used as an analytical community diagnosis, and it can be used to identify groups needing care, identify community syndromes, and determine causal factors of diseases in the community. Now, roles of community diagnosis in community health. It identifies needs used as basis for planning. It identifies problems, thereby leading to self-reliance. It identifies constraints which can then be addressed in the planning process. It provides a baseline for evaluation of intervention. Now, there are different methods that is being used in community diagnosis. These methods include the following: observation, interview or surveys, group discussion, that is focus group, review of existing records in the community clinic or health centers, and screening of specific problems. Any of these methods can be used to perform a community diagnosis or situational analysis. Situational analysis, as defined earlier, is a key foundation for any sound intervention. It involves a systematic collection and study of health and demographic data. Study findings and other contextual information in order to identify and understand the specific health issue to be addressed. It helps to ensure a program's relevance and to find out the best course of action by learning about community attitude and practices. In addition to ensuring the appropriateness of the intervention of the local context, carrying out a situational analysis will help avoid duplication of efforts. A complete situational analysis gathers information on 4 areas. The 4 major areas are the problem, its severity and its causes, the people that is affected by the problem, the broad context in which the problem exists, and factors inhibiting or facilitating the behavior change. Situational analysis can be conducted by communication staff, health or social service staff, and if available, the research staff. Plan for situational analysis. In order to conduct situational analysis, the following steps should be adhered to. Step 1 is to identify the health issue. Step 2 is to develop a focused problem statement. Step 3 is to draft a shared vision by stating what the program hopes to influence. A good vision statement provides direction, communicates enthusiasm, and fosters commitment and dedication. Step 4 is to conduct a review to better understand the health issue and address the problem. The team needs to conduct a desk or literature review. Step 5 is to decide the scope of the review. Determining how many studies and how comprehensive the review should be is very important. It is also important to decide on the dates for data collection and the studies to be collected and the best source of information. The 6th step is data collection. The 7th step is to review and organize the data. Focus only on information that will help the project team address the problem and avoid including information that is not relevant. The 8th step is to analyze the data and summarize the findings. The 9th step is to fill the existing gap, while the 10th step is to document your findings by writing the report. We have come to the end of this study. You can consult your study material to have more understanding on the subject that is being discussed in this video. Thank you for listening. See you in the next class.